feminist movements and women's rights movements are what other women could fall back to when, when they are having a horrible timing. So in other words, that is the question that women really fall back to. Are these women's organizations? And this is why it's so important, because no one else is going to be looking at their interest or their rights or protecting it except a woman, feminist woman.
ثم نجاح المرأة العربية وعزيمة وإرادة كل امرأة منكن.
This is Kulmina Fund.
You're listening to Resist, Persist and Reimagine, a podcast series by the Kulmina Fund. In every episode, we bring you the voices of feminist leaders who are transforming their communities and the world. Today, we are honored to share a powerful conversation with Hibaaq Osman, founder and CEO of Karama, a regional NGO based in Egypt with networks across 13 countries, from Libya to Palestine, Sudan to Yemen. Karama mobilizes women to end all forms of violence and to ensure their full participation in the decisions that shape their lives. It's more than an organization, it's a movement. One that grounds political activism in daily life and insists that local voices must inform national and global agendas. In this episode, Hibaaq takes us inside that work, the challenges of politics, the strength of collective action, and her vision for an authentic, inclusive democracy.
My name is Hibaaq Osman. I am the founder and CEO of Karama. It's a women's rights movement to end violence against women, political violence, physical violence, economic violence, violence of all its forms.
Karama doesn't just fight violence, it builds alternatives. The organization believes that to end violence against women, we must look at how it operates across every part of life: health, education, economics, law, culture, and media. And it designs strategies to respond in each of these areas. It also works from the ground up, centered on local expertise. Activists on the front lines shape Karama's regional campaigns and international advocacy, because real change doesn't come from above. It starts in communities and grows outward. That's the principle Hibaaq has carried throughout her journey: listening, learning, and building deep relationships.
I was very lucky to be working with women, learning from them. It has been a great experience. Life has its ups and downs. I wouldn't change it for the world. I really, every time I meet women, learn about their experiences, it just made me strong and stronger. And I would never change for that. I'm very lucky because I've worked with African women and Middle East, women from the Middle East, and they have so much to give and so many brilliant ideas. They know exactly what the solution is. The frustration is a lot of times you are not able to do something about it. You can be inspired and inspire them, but their journey has never been one, an easy one. They are extremely resilient, but at the same time, they have the biggest smile on their faces, no matter what they're going through. And that makes you stronger. It teaches you humanity, because you can see a woman who is in a shelter, afraid for her life, and at the same time, you can see her combing the hair of her daughter and watching her sons and children play football outside, even though she's afraid, or a Palestinian who has completely lost everything, but it still has that incredible fire inside that is resilient and fighting back and never seeing herself as a victim, but sees herself as a fighter.
Resist, persist, and reimagine. Karama's strength is also in its coalition, a national and regional network in 13 countries across the Middle East and Africa. Together, they create solutions that are local, feminist, and grounded in human rights. At the Kulmina Fund, we are proud to support Karama through a regional project that brings this approach to life. The project aims to build intergenerational alliances between women parliamentarians and emerging young leaders, strengthen the capacities on human and women's rights, and connect them with civil society organizations across the region. This project reflects Hibaaq's belief that politics must be made real and accessible, that democracy must serve the people, not speak over them.
It has to be translated to normal people, and it has to translate into their everyday life. So what does that mean? Mobilization, understanding, raising awareness. and having control over your life, whether it's your body or your politics or whatever, the ownership of your land and where you live in, and determining where it should be heading. You have to translate into education, into health, and all priorities that people have. They need to understand these politicians are executives that they are paying from their taxpayers' money. This is very important. Once they understand that, then they will say, you're working for me. How come I don't have school in my village? How come I don't have a clinic in my village? How come? So it's question, how come I don't have a law that protects me? My daughter has been beaten up, she has been killed, or whatever. How come there is no accountability? So holding these people accountable. That's what democracy is. So to me, it's really having control over your life and what affects your life. This is what it is. That's politics. You want to call it politics, you call civil engagement, you call critical masses, whatever you call. It's always about the people understanding exactly why the situation that they live, could be better, because these politicians are executives working for them because their taxpayers' money goes to them. Therefore, they should be responding to you.
This is Kulmina Fund.
At Karama, leadership means listening, supporting, and amplifying what women on the ground already know and are already doing. Hibaaq describes their role as a connector, building bridges between grassroots priorities and national or regional influence. It's a powerful reminder that real change begins when we trust those closest to the challenges, and when we create space for women to define and lead their own strategies. In her words,
I think the best strategy that we have is always to know that we really don't know, that we have to listen to the women, learn from them, and support their priorities. So for us, we are basically interlocutor, supporting their priorities. We are not coming in and saying, well, this is really how you should be shaped. But what we also understand, the groups that we support or the groups that we work with, I think is more like it, are groups that have constituency on the ground, who are accountable to their constituencies, who are trusted, who are known. One, two, I think learning, I think we are at the regional level. So bringing this women together to learn from each other is also very important.
Resist, persist, and reimagine. When we talk about women's participation in politics or public life, we can't ignore the everyday barriers, the invisible calculations, judgments, and risks that shape how women move through the world. Hibaaq reminds us that for many women, just leaving the house requires tragedy. The pressure is constant, and it's often silent. These aren't abstract obstacles. They are part of daily survival. Here's how she describes it.
The barriers, a lot of times, is the cultural barriers. It's financial barriers. It is a lot of times a woman has to, it depends where you are. Sometimes you will find a woman getting out of her house, and before she leaves, she has to think, what am I going to wear? How am I going to smile? How am I going to walk? Really, honest to God. I mean, we have normalized the unnormal. So it's just being a woman, you have to have a strategy all the time. If you're a working woman, how do you really make sure that your children are taken care of, that, your house is really in order, because we're being judged all the time. If we are in a working place, we're being judged. If we are a mother we are being judged. If we are a single woman who decided, no, I'm not going to have a children, we are going to be judged. We're continuously being judged.
This is Kulmina Fund.
Progress for women has never been linear. Every step forward has come with resistance and often fierce backlash. As Hibaaq reminds us, the struggle isn't just about winning rights, but about defending them and refusing to be pushed back. In this next reflection, she speaks to what's at stake: the cost of feminist leadership, the threat powerful women pose to authoritarian systems, and the deep link between controlling women and controlling society. Here's what she shares.
It's 5 steps forward and then 20 steps backward. It has never been consistent that women have gained all of these rights, to the right to vote, the right to work, the right to go to school, the right to be a politician. It has never been easy. It has always been a journey and a difficult one. Once you are able to do, how do you sustain that? I think the biggest concern for people, and I'm not going to say just men, but conservative ones, is a powerful woman. That's the nuclear. For them, that is the nuclear bomb. A woman who is articulate, who is strong, who knows exactly what's going on, and who has a constituency that you basically cannot really threaten her, put her down, or any of this. That is the nuclear, But I must say, feminists take the nuclear option. No matter what is coming, even at the risk of your life, you do what you need to do because you know it could be better and it must be better for everyone. And feminists, by the way, and women are not working just for women, they're working for the whole society. Now, if you look throughout history at all these fundamentalist or authoritarian regimes, the first thing they do is target women. Why? Because if you bring women to their knees, then you are bringing the society to their knees. So targeting women with violence is not something that just comes in, it's a strategy. Bring women down to their knees, control women's bodies, control women, then you can control the society because we are the core and center of society.
Resist, persist, and reimagine. Democracy, justice, and human rights can't remain abstract ideals. They have to be made real in people's lives. For Hibaaq, this means grounding these values in everyday realities and ensuring that leaders are truly accountable to the people they represent. She challenges us to rethink what feminist leadership looks like, not as a closed circle, but as a movement rooted in communities, pushing for systems that actually serve society. Here's how she explains it.
All these great words translate into the everyday life. We have to bring trust in the people. Many people don't trust their politicians. We have to bring back that trust and make sure these politicians are accountable to the people and responsive to the people, not just having a loyalty to a political party that they belong to. Really, that's the thing. One is, the political parties, unfortunately, have become a club for men. And even the few women that you see are women who are loyal to the political party rather than to their constituency or to their, cities and villages and whatever it is. There is a disconnect. There is a disconnect between the person who's representing you and the constituency that they came from.
This is Colmena Fund.
In moments of crisis, when rights are under threat, when girls are denied education, when women face violence and isolation, feminist movements become the safety net, a place to land, a place to rise again. Hibaaq speaks to this urgency, that protecting women's rights isn't just about policy, it's about building the confidence and power of every woman, starting from childhood.
We are in a very dangerous, times, but we need to know how to work on that. But we need to mobilize our communities. We need our communities to understand the danger when a woman, a child, a girl child is not educated. She doesn't have the education, the awareness, the feeling that, I'm protected. I can ask this with my own right. That's all we want. We want that confidence for the 9-year-old to say no. Feminist movements and women's rights movements are what other women could fall back to when they are having a horrible timing. So in other words, that is the question that women really fall back to, are these women's organizations. And this is why it's so important, because no one else is going to be looking at their interest or their rights or protecting it except the woman, feminist woman.
Resist, persist, and reimagine. Hibaaq also reflects on what it takes to sustain this work: resources, risk-taking, trust, and the kind of support that understands what's truly at stake, not just in theory, but from lived experience. That's where partners like the Colmena Fund come in. Here's how Hibaaq explains it.
So Coleman Fund, for example, comes to that. I mean, they are supporting all this, visionary women, all this, constituencies, and also the sustainability of all these programs, which is, women in politics and participation. Without women participating and making decisions for not only for themselves, but for their own constituents and for the people. And we will not have anything, because we need these women to be in parliament, to be changing the laws, making sure women are protected, women are participating, they're in the decision making, and all of that. You need the resources to do that. So Coleman Fund and absolutely sees that. And the other thing, of course, is they take the risk because they believe in you, that actually this change could come, and you need that. So you need the resources, you need the people, you need women who are trusted, and it's a fantastic adventure, one that we are totally committed because every time you work with women or save women or whatever, you're saving yourself too. You're saving your own life. What is different from Kolmena Fund is the woman who is running is someone who has been there. She has been in jail. She has been stripped out of her, passport and citizenship, put on a plane and landed in America and all this and that. That person understands exactly where they come from, what happened to them, and they are saving so that wouldn't happen to other people, but she gets it when you're talking to her. She gets it. So Kolmena Fund is very important. It gives oxygen to all this vision and all these visionaries. They're important because this woman who's leading understands because she has been there.
This is Kolmena Fund.
Democracy can't be imported. It can't be imposed. For Hibaaq, authentic democracy is built from the ground up, shaped by people's lived experiences, needs, and priorities. It's not just about institutions or elections. It's about whether people feel protected, heard, and represented, especially women. And when women aren't part of the decision-making, when power serves only a few, democracy becomes something else entirely. As Hibaaq says, democracy without women is hypocrisy.
Democracy is not something you can import, export, and do that. Not at all. All it means is that people should be engaged. People should be holding their governments accountable. The laws in the country should be protecting you. And if there are no laws and policies, you create the policies. But that is the power. But the power of democracy, and underline that, is power of the people. We need to translate it in everyday life. That's what democracy is. Otherwise, it becomes a hypocrisy. And I have always this motto that I say, democracy with women is hypocrisy. And that's what it is. I think as women, that's what we need. The protection that we need, the safeguards that we need, the laws that should be upheld, and the right leaders. And it's okay if women demand we need women to be decision makers, because it's only when women are in parliament or in any of those, or in the commissions or any of these institutions, then and not any woman, a woman who has that feminist agenda or womanist agenda, or who is coming from the women's movement. That is when you can really say, okay, there is actually someone who represents me. And that's very important. Democracy without women is hypocrisy. Democracy without people is hypocrisy. Democracy where only few are benefiting from is hypocrisy. And that's it.
Resist, persist, and reimagine. Thank you for tuning in to Resist, Persist, and Reimagine. This is how we build power, story by story, voice by voice. If this conversation moved you, join the Kolmena Hive. Connect with us on social media, share this episode, and subscribe to hear more voices redefining political power. Together, let's amplify feminist leadership and reimagine democracy from the ground up.
ثم نجاح المرأة العربية وعزيمة وإرادة كل امرأة منكن.
This is Kolmena Fund.